Hey geeks, welcome to another exciting episode of Rockin The Code World with dotNetDave. I'm Dave McCarter. I'm really glad you're all here. I'm finally feeling better. I've been kind of dealing with health issues the last couple of weeks, but I'm finally feeling better today, some more energy, which I need, and excited about the show and excited about the weekend. It's going to be a great weekend in San Diego. It's going to be in the low 80 degrees here Fahrenheit. And so unfortunately, I'm going to be, stuck inside working on my house most of the time. But anyway, it'll be nice outside. So anyway, my guest today is Darrell Dunn, a solutions architect with OverOps. If you remember, we had somebody we had Chris Fossey on from OverOps last week. And then we also had someone from OverOps on at the Code Quality Conference that I put on. And so these guys are really great and smart. And get your questions ready. We're going to be talking about code quality, software demos, maybe even Disney, because we both are Disney fans. Who knows where this show will go? Well, who knows where any of my shows will go, really. So anyway, this show number 2035. Wow. I just realized a couple of days ago that the anniversary show, 1 year anniversary, will be on October 2nd. So I hope you're joining me for that show. So let's get started. There's still, COVID, especially the Delta variant, is still raging a lot in the world. We're dealing with horrible issues here in the States. Hospitals are full, people are dying. We're hitting record numbers for the people dying from the COVID crisis in the world. And we're also getting record numbers from people coming down with COVID. So I hope you all will join me in my challenge for all software developers that don't live in India to help us raise money to help the people in India. I've been there 3 times, and they definitely don't have the infrastructure that we do here in America. I feel really appreciative about that. So we need to help our fellow humans out in India. So, when I started this campaign, I donated $100, and I'm challenging all software developers to do that or more. I know at least one person has done more. I thank him for that. And so we can help the people that are dealing with it in India. Right now they're experiencing 40,000 cases a day, and that's crazy numbers. And so we're not out of this yet. So please donate. It'll make you feel better. It'll make me feel better, and it'll make the person you're helping in India feel a hell of a lot better. So as soon as the show's over, go to that link. Simon, can you post the link? Go to that link and donate as much as you can. And tweet about it so I know that you're doing it. I was thinking about this early this morning, and I keep asking you guys to ask questions during the show. I don't get a lot of questions on the show. I got a lot on the Code Quality Conference, but not too many on the show. I don't know if you're half asleep. I don't know if you are just shy and don't want to ask questions. I don't know if you think you're going to feel dumb asking questions. Believe me, there's no dumb question. And so, this is, I wanted to make sure that this is your show. Yeah, it has dotNetDave on it, but this is really your show. I do this show for you. I kind of do it for myself too, because I get to meet, I get to meet new people like Daryl today, and I get to talk with my longtime friends in this world. And so that's really fun and exciting for me. And I learned something, but really, the reason we're putting on this show every week is for you, and for you to get the most out of this show. Just like I told my students at the university, is you have to ask questions. And so please ask questions, as many as you want. Doesn't matter what they are. And we'll try to get them answered as much as we can, and try to keep them on topic. But, anything you want, you can post in there. One that might not get to all of them. And I'm also curious who's watching the show right now. So whatever country you're in, please make a comment and let me know what country you're in right now watching the show live. I know we get the numbers from Facebook and stuff, but I'd like to see it on the comments. So make sure you ask questions. I wanted to let everybody know that I'm releasing a new Spargene release on the 1st. Spargene is my new open source project. It's I've been working on this project basically since .NET 2, and it's now called Spargene. Spargene only works for .NET 5. I have other open source projects for the .NET Framework and .NET Core you can check out too. But I'm currently working really hard on Spargene, and this release has got some really cool new code in it. And I've also been working really, really hard on speeding up some of the methods in Spargene. So I hope you'll check it out. It will be on the 1st. You can check out the code, or you can just get the NuGet package and use that. And on the 1st, I'll be releasing a new article in C# Corner documenting all the new cool stuff and maybe some old stuff that's in Spargene. So I hope you check it out. The Azure Summit has now been renamed to the Cloud Summit. So I guess we're doing more than just cloud stuff. I mean, Azure stuff in the Cloud Summit now. It's still 10 freaking days long on September 13th through the 23rd. And we're not going to be doing a show during that week because of the summit. So please go register. I think there's 50,000 people registered already. That's just insane numbers, if you ask me. I can't wait to hear how many actually attend, and I can't wait to hear if they beat my number on the Code Quality Conference, which is 78,000 viewers at this point. So please go check it out. I'll be on the I'll be on the conference. And I'll be watching it as much as I can too, because this is really going to be great, and provide a lot of great information about the cloud for all of us developers out there. And until I kill the project, well, hopefully I'm not going to kill the project. You know, every week I'm asking you to submit your food recipes to the Hello World Cookbook. I know some of you out there can cook. And I want to show the world that you can cook. And I want to raise money for the Voice of Slum NGO in India. 100% of the proceeds will go to the Voice of Slum NGO. I already donated 100% of my proceeds from my code performance book to the NGO, and they've been able to restart their vocational training there, which I'm really, really happy about. But we need to help the kids in the orphanages in India more. So I've created this new project. So if you can cook, submit your recipe. It can be your wife's recipe. It doesn't actually have to be yours. If you're not into cooking, I'm also looking for unit testers to test the recipes for me. I'm looking for editors to make me sound better. And I'm also looking for graphic artists, because even though I can do graphic arts, kind of like you can see in this graphic, I'm definitely not great at it. So please go to Hello World Cookbook, sign up, or submit your recipe, and let's get this project going. If we can get this going by October, I can get the book out probably beginning of next year. So let's do it. With that, I'd like to bring on my guest, Darrell Dunn. Daryl is an early adopter for everything. Fell in love with production quality software a long time ago, succeeds in connecting customers and solutions that actually work. Current adventure with an exciting startup that'll be fun to listen to about. His favorite projects are Kafka, Python, Node, Jenkins, Kubernetes, SonarQube, OverOps, and his board experience with petrochemical banking. Broad, not board. Sorry about that. Broad experience with petrochemicals. Sorry, I'm messing this up, Daryl. Broad experience with petrochemical, banking, entertainment, retail, tax consulting, and manufacturing sectors. I really messed that up. Welcome, Daryl.
Hey, thank you. No, that's no problem, man. That just means I'm old.
It's a Saturday morning, you know, and my brain is still. I'm on my third cup of coffee. I got to get my brain going. So,
yeah, no worries.
So, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. It's a beautiful day here in Florida. We're getting a little sun and a little bit of the less humidity. So
Oh.
for Florida people, that's like fall. We don't really have fall, but we like to pretend.
Yeah, it's like always humid there. And are you going to feel? That's the other thing I forgot to mention is the United States is about to be hit with a bad hurricane. And is that going to hit you at all? You probably see some of the storm, right?
So we start watching the track just south of Cuba, to make sure that it's not going to hit us. But this one's going into Louisiana. They're pretty sure, but you never know.
Yeah.
The water is really warm right now, so they're saying it's going to hit Louisiana at a class 4, which is only one away from rough.
Yeah,
really rough.
yeah.
So, yeah, you definitely want to keep an eye on this one if you're in Louisiana.
Man, and this is on the anniversary of Katrina.
Right.
So, but Mother Nature knows her anniversaries, I guess.
Yes, she does. Yes, she
I don't know
does.
what the deal is with this stuff.
But yeah, we keep an eye on them. And when I first moved here, we've lived here for 3 years. It was kind of like, we haven't been through a storm yet. We've been through a couple of minor ones, and it's a lot of rain, a lot of wind. If you kind of maintain your area, with trees and stuff, you do yourself a lot of favors,
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of in 2005, I went to a conference there, and I had a blast, not only at the conference, but hanging out with my friends and doing what I do. And but I remember when I was leaving, I think the plane actually had to leave early because there was a hurricane coming. And I remember, there was, it's pretty bad storming at that point. And, I remember being on the tarmac at the gate going, yeah, we gotta take off. And I'm going, you're going to take off in this? Are you kidding me? I don't want to go up.
Right.
It's already here. And they're going, yeah, it's no big deal. I'm going, yeah. It's a big deal to me.
Right. I've landed. I think landing in cold fronts are worse than the hurricanes because hurricanes are so big.
Yeah.
The cold fronts are like an intense area. And I mean, you talk about some turbulence. It's really good. I'm going to ask you something about San Diego.
Okay.
So I actually worked with the San Diego County Courthouse and doing QA work, about 10, 12 years ago. And I got to walk past that ship, the Star of India.
The Star of India.
Out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is that restaurant's name that's there? It's Antonio's?
Anthony's, I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that not a good place for me because when I was there, they opened up a takeout window. So I would walk from the courthouse back to the hotel.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it would smell so good.
Yeah.
But it was not good for me. I don't order the right things,
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have some pretty good seafood. Unfortunately, most of our fresh fishing has gone away from San Diego, so we don't get a lot of fresh fish anymore. But yeah, we do have some pretty good seafood. And if you didn't know, the Star of India is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, working ships, like old time ships that we had back. I don't even know how old that freaking ship is, but it's one of those ships with sails and that we've had for a long time. And because it is a working ship, they actually take it out once a year. So they actually sail it once a year to make sure they're still in the working ship category, I guess.
Well, we were there when I was there. They were actually replacing all the big lines.
Yeah,
I mean, it was quite an operation. I mean, they had probably 20 or 30 people out there working on it. Way up high. It was like, not for me.
I know. I wouldn't mind being on the ship if they're just taking it out, but can you imagine going across the ocean in that thing?
It's not that big. Yeah, it's not that big.
Everybody thinks these ships like back in the Columbus days and back in even the early 1700s, 1800s were big. No, they weren't. They were really, really small and 2 floors maybe. And everybody was crowded in and
everybody got to know each other really well.
Yeah. It's definitely, I'm glad I kind of live in this era, where we have airplanes and big ships and, don't have to go through that I mean, being on to me, traveling international or even being on a cruise ship is kind of a form of torture. But can you imagine being on one of those ships for months, going across the ocean?
I'm not necessarily a big fan of cruise ships, even the big
No,
ones.
I'm not either. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to go to the hotel and not be stuck on a ship. But
yeah. I did actually 10 years ago this year. I actually took the best vacation I ever did, and it was on a cruise. And I, of course, I left from Florida, and the reason it was the best vacation I've ever had is because it was 5 straight days of concerts.
There you go.
Yeah, it's the cruise is called Shiprocked. It's once a year, and they feature more rock acts and stuff like that. And that year they had a lot of my favorite bands on the cruise, even one that I do photography for. So I got to hang out with that band in the private parties, and I got to hang out with them in the casino, and the ship had 3 from 1 o'clock till like midnight. They had like 3 stages going on, and all the bands played twice. So in case you missed one band somewhere, you could see them somewhere else. And man, that was the best vacation. But I don't really want to take a cruise again because I just feel the people that work on the cruise are in prison, and I don't want to contribute to that. And I talked to some of them, and it's literally they're in prison. And so yeah, I don't want to contribute to a system like that. That's for sure. Anyway, we're getting way off topic. If anybody has comments, otherwise we're going to get into Disney characters. Please drop your line for comments. The big coding stuff we're going to talk about today, the least that we have listed, is code quality, which is my biggest passion besides code performance these days, and software demonstrations, which I have a lot of comments on that because I see most software demonstrations just suck. And that's one of the reasons I don't go to a lot of conference talks anymore. And so we're going to talk about those 2 things. I definitely have a lot of comments for those. But again, I said at the beginning of the show, this is your show, so please make a comment. They don't show up right away. They come in like a minute or 2, but we'll try to get them answered as much as you can. So let's start off with code quality. So what's your big passion right now around code quality?
So, we're being pushed, and this is a 10-year-old. It's a problem old as I can remember, because we've all developers have been pushed for deadlines, and now we've had agile methodology. Now we're converting everything to microservices. And you're being pushed to have the same quality as you had, and you got to move at light speed, right?
Yeah.
And the businesses we work for are all probably in fear of a Airbnb moment. Like all the hotel industry, all of a sudden they have this company pop up that's all software driven, and they have more properties than all the hotel chains combined. So overnight you get Airbnb'd or Netflixed or whatever you want to call it. You get disrupted. And so, we're all being pushed. You kind of have to employ some, and that's where OverOps comes in, is kind of what you need to do for reliability in your code. And I'm sure Chris talked about it last week, but we basically sit at runtime, and we're basically sitting there watching your code quality and giving you, and more than just the code, standing still, but the code in motion. So we're catching things like bad parses, and
that's the most important thing is monitoring the app, doing performance against it while it's running, right? And I talk about that a lot. I have a program I like a lot, and just before you keep going, I'd like to point out is that there's 0 companies I've gone to that do any kind of analysis like that. 0, until they hire me. And then I even worked for some companies that won't give me the time to do it, So this is a big subject that no one is doing. It's, at least in my world, no one is doing, and it's serious.
And it's both. And I've worked for a few startups in the past 10 years, and we always talk about shifting left or shifting right, shifting left toward the development environments and shifting right toward production. And this is, OverOps is very good about being in both camps. Because, when you get to production and you got an error that's dropped in there, the shift right scenario is this error is costing us 10 times the amount that it would have if we caught it in the lower environments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and at that point, you have to reproduce what happened, because, as you know, users will find new and unique ways to stretch your software.
Well,
and
that's why I always say a user is a 4-letter word, right?
and so that's what OverOps gives you, is all the variables that you use, the full call stack, what the environment was doing at that point, what the container was doing, all that goodness in one sealed package that you can just pull up and look. And then also we integrate with everything, and we can open up a Jira ticket, we can fire a ServiceNow ticket, when those exceptions occur. So you kind of get your laundry list to what to work with. And the cool thing is, it works both in production and development, so the developers can get that goodness early and use it to mop up some things. And one of the things that we is also, and I think this is more due to just the rapid nature of development now, is we catch a lot of swallowed or hidden exceptions, where we didn't do anything standard out. We're not putting anything in the log, catch, throw, try. We didn't do anything. So
I found code like that. Yeah.
and I don't like to point fingers. Sometimes, it just happens. We're humans, make mistakes.
Yeah.
And but those pop up, and so that's kind of my OverOps spiel. But code quality in general just needs to be better, and there's a lot of pressure on it. You also have the issue now with, and I think this is COVID related. I think it's just the world, but you have a lot of churn. You have a lot of people that are going in and out the door, new developers coming in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so if you have something like OverOps, that helps insulate you against that too. You can maybe put a junior developer on working something a little more senior if you arm them with something like OverOps and keep their code quality up.
Yeah, and that's really important, especially for these companies, including the company I'm currently contracting with right now, that loves to hire contractors, right? And their kind of mode of operation is, they hire a bunch of full-time people, and then they realize they need to cut costs, and so they let go of those full-time people, and then they realize, well, how are we going to get our work done now? And so they hire a bunch of contractors, who had no domain knowledge of the application, and all these contractors come in, which is happening right now, including myself, and how can you have code quality, with a system like that, and unless you have someone permanently there that's their main focus, right? Which this company doesn't have, and I've yet to see a company really have a person focused on code quality, unless they hire me, of course. But let me give you just the quick rundown I've done of this project. So this solution I'm working on right now is 82 projects in a single solution, which I think is nuts in of itself. There's 3,300 warnings, code violation warnings. There's almost 28,000 other code violations, right? They have a.
Are you pulling that info in from SonarQube or?
No, I'm just pulling it from Visual Studio.
Oh, okay.
And
the real.
Yeah, and I thought I wrote down the cyclomatic complexity here. I wrote it down somewhere else, but their cyclomatic complexity on one class is like in the tens of thousands, right? And,
wow.
But they only have a 9,800 unit test, which is not near enough for a project like this. They have 217, almost 218,000 lines of code clones. And since we all can't spell, they have 32,000 spelling errors,
Oh, wow.
And I don't even have the other metrics because, and I just submitted a ticket to Visual Studio for this, is that I found out with this company, because this company forces us to use VNs that are on their network. And unfortunately, the Office isn't on the VM. And so when I do code metrics in Visual Studio, I can't export the results because, code metrics in Visual Studio relies on Excel.
Oh man.
So I've asked them to change that. Why does a CSV file need to rely on Excel? Really? Come on.
Right.
And
at least build that component in. Yeah.
Something, right? So, and in the same ticket, I go, oh, and could you put a total? Those code quality, code metrics things don't total in the window. So I can't, I'm just not going to go through 82 projects and total them myself. Sorry.
You got to export it out and do it yourself. Yeah.
Well, I can't export it. That's the problem, because it won't export because Excel's not on the machine.
Gotcha.
So anyway, that's just one project. This is pretty much, because it has so many solutions, projects in a single solution. It's pretty much the worst code base I've seen. And one of the really funny thing is, I was talking to my boss, who the contracting company I work through, which I've worked at another division of this company before, and they were pretty bad too. And I was telling him earlier this week, I go, you really have to get them to let me fix all their memory problems, because I see tons of memory problems in this code base, which is exactly what I saw with the other team. Right. When I started with the other team, after I got the source code, I went back into the manager. This was before COVID, of course. I went back to the manager, and I think his name was Dave. And I said, Dave, do you have servers that you have to reboot every once in a while? Do you have no idea why? He goes, yes. And I go, I know exactly why. and it took me 3 months to clean that up. Well, a month and 3 months. I can't remember now. And so I said the same thing basically to my boss early this week. And Thursday or Friday on our Scrum meeting, they can't release the new version because they keep having to restart services all the time. I'm going, I know why.
We've got a winner.
Why don't you let me fix it?
Right.
But I know that's a long story, but this is what companies need to pay attention to. Like I said earlier, especially if you're contractor happy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's another factor. We work with a lot of customers that they want to keep their contractors producing great quality code. And I'm not saying that everybody does this, but you will run into someone that will check in code and there's no code there. And it's more of I'm just trying to make I'm trying to hit my deadline for maybe good reasons, no point, but yeah, sometimes that happens and you're like, hey, we didn't get any code here. So yeah.
And I write and talk about this all the time. And I did talk about it last week when I was speaking at a user group. I was doing my coding standards talk. And I said, one of the, and I say this till I'm blue in the face, is all teams, every single team needs to run, a code analytics during the build, right? That's a necessity. I've been doing it, since the early 2000s, right? All teams need to do this, and especially teams like the one I currently work in that loves to hire contractors, because contractors are there for a minimum, a short amount of time. They don't really care, right? They're gonna get their job done and spit out whatever code they can get done, but you can't accept it unless it follows your guidelines or your minimum standards.
Right. And it's crazy to me how many firms run on no baselines. I don't know where I am, so I don't. How do I go forward? How do I know I'm doing better or doing worse?
Right. Yeah. Oh, my friend, my good friend Mark, who actually plays in the opening song, he plays the lead guitar in the opening song, said that Anthony's down at the Star of India is being replaced by the Brigantine, which is another great seafood place in San Diego. There's actually one really close to my house. And I don't go there much because you have to valet your car, but it is a good restaurant. So,
right.
So anyway, next time you come, look for Brigantine, not Anthony's.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I can't wait to get back. Love San Diego.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, as everybody can tell, code quality is a passion of mine because of exactly what Daryl and I are talking about. Is no one seems to pay attention to it, and for me, as a developer, it makes it more frustrating to me because not only do I see it in code, that I'm exposed to, by, people hiring me as a contractor or a full-time employee. If that's not bad enough, right? I use programs too, and I see other programs, including Office and Visual Studio, just going downhill, right? And it's because of this code quality thing. I do kind of know, I know Visual Studio probably doesn't want me to tell anybody, but, they've outsourced a lot of the work, with Visual Studio now. And so once I found that out, I found that out in the last year or so. And once I found that, I go, oh, okay, well, no wonder it's I can't say it's great anymore,
My experience with that is it's easy to break. It's easy to corrupt your install, and then then you're in the middle of something, you got to start over.
Yeah. Well, this happened this week, or I think late last week. And this happened at the other team I worked at too, is that, because they hire contractors or because they hire contractors who are probably more junior, with the last team, they were constantly breaking the build. And when they broke the build, we just couldn't do anything for a while, right? We couldn't check in, we couldn't do anything because they don't really do good branching strategies and stuff like that in their repository. But this team does the same thing, where someone breaks the build, no one can figure out why, and it takes them literally a day or two to figure it out. And we're all sitting there going, we can't do check-ins, we can't get the latest, we can't do anything pretty much. I mean, we can work locally, but we can't contribute to the repository, and that's just nuts to me.
Yeah. It's bad hygiene.
Yeah. Well, just think of all the time companies are wasting with this, right? All the money that's going down the tubes with this. Yeah, you might be saving money hiring contractors, but you're not. Contractors actually cost more money. I don't know why companies don't get this. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting on my high horse as usual. So, so what else about code quality? And make sure you put your questions in. This is one of my favorite topics, and Darrell's too. So make sure you ask some code quality questions. Or the next topic, if we get to it, is going to be software demos too. So, so please put your questions in so we can answer them. So what else about code quality?
I think one of the things that's happened over the past 5-10 years, and not everybody's there yet, but production is no longer sacred. Used to be, production was not touched. Developers didn't even have access to it. And I think this is a good thing. I think the onset of canary builds, designing your app to where I can roll 10% user load through it and see how we do, see how with something like an OverOps, with an APM, with really putting it under scrutiny. Truly, when you look at the infinity, I don't know what you call it, the infinity loop of DevOps, truly putting the monitoring forefront there, and you're watching it and using that to test, and not being afraid of users having a few users, not a lot, of course, having a bad experience, but kind of getting your sea legs there, and then promoting the build to the rest of production. I think that's a good step. Of course, I'm sure you've had guests talk about chaos engineering and Chaos Monkey and all that good stuff. There's even a company now, I don't know, they're called Gremlin, and they actually are commercially supporting the Simian army with Chaos Monkey, and you can deploy that in your production environment if you so dare. The companies are still, I think, in the few that do that, but I think it's brilliant, especially with cloud, regions going down. I mean, you want to count on Azure and AWS, but they have outages too. You got to plan on that.
There's no such thing as 100% uptime, right?
Right.
Yeah, you do have to count on it, and even though that's a real edge case, but the problem is when that edge case happens, everybody hears about it on the media.
That's right.
And that's not a good thing for you.
No.
Netflix, it's not a good sign if things go down like that. I know I had one of the best cloud engineers on the show, and actually on the Code Quality Conference. This guy is freaking brilliant. on that. He works at Netflix, and so I know they work a lot to make sure that kind of happens, or you don't see it happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. The whole thing with developers should never have access to production. We should never have access really to the build machine either. There's really only one thing we should have access to, and that's a dev environment, right? Maybe the QA environment, but nothing above that, right? Because now you're just throwing a lot of unknowns into the process, and it's not a safe bet. That needs to be controlled. And it's like we don't test our software. It's like the same kind of thing. We don't push our software to production either, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not talking about startups, when you have 5 people and everything. I'm talking about, mid to large size companies.
And you can't really compare like a big bank to Facebook and Google.
Yeah.
That's totally different world. I mean, in Google, you develop as a developer, you could leave your project anytime and go work on another project. Say,
yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. And what was the other thing? What was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, it'll come back. But yeah, I think if you're any decent sized company, you need to have people, because programming has changed so much since when I started, that and the day we're living in right now, you have to have people not only that are experts at code quality, memory performance, kind of stuff that you guys do at DevOps, but you also need someone dedicated to security now, right? Yeah. You can't just rely on developers doing that, because most of us don't like security, right? It gets in our way of programming, and we'd rather have someone else do it. At least that's my take on it. So we need to have someone overseeing the security, what's going on with security and all that stuff with putting anything to production, right? Or releasing it as
Yeah, take it a step further. I mean, look at SolarWinds. They had someone they put a build into their build and deploy it, and then what happened there. But yeah, so not only that, but you got to have really sharp DevOps people. We're watching the whole process, and hey, this didn't match our checksum what we checked in. Someone should have said, hey, this isn't our code.
Well, Equifax, right? And I just think it's hilarious that we're years out from the Equifax hack, and now Equifax is trying to get you back on their system by providing this app that improves your credit. I'm going, yeah, no. There's nothing I'm going to purposely do with your company ever again. Sorry. Because you had a DevOps person that didn't put in a patch that he was told to, or he or she was told to put in the patch, and they didn't do it, and that's what happened, right? So yeah, no, I'm not going to work with your company ever again. Sorry. It's these days I say comments like that, because there's so much competition with just about anything these days that if you're dealing with an Equifax type company, there's another competitor right down the street you can start working with. They might be as bad, but at least it's not public yet, or
right.
But you got to keep moving to the company that at least is going to try to do it right. Yeah, right. To me, my mind, as a consumer, right? So I if we don't get off of code quality, I'll never shut up about it. So let's get to your other topic. And if anybody has questions about code quality, please ask. I only think I saw one person say where they're from, where they're watching from. So those of you who are on the show, please let me know what country or state you're watching from, just for my own information. So let's talk about software demonstration, something else that, I personally, as a speaker and doing videos and stuff, work really hard at my software demonstrations. I don't feel that with a lot of other presenters.
Yeah, completely. And talking about different kinds of demos, when you're doing a demo, and so I've been now the title is a solutions architect.
Right.
Before that, sales engineer, pre-sales engineer, So, we're all about the art of the possible, right? Come in, show you what would you look like using OverOps? What would you look like, do it, and putting you in the place of where you're at. And I had a really good friend, Jeff Bush. He works for PagerDuty now, and he said, "Hey," and I would give demos, and his feedback was, "I need less Tesla and more Twain." That was his big saying.
Yeah.
And because you've got to tell a story, you've got to learn to tell a story. And so I was in the mindset that I needed to learn every single thing, .NET, Java, JVM, CLRs, all this good stuff. And he was like, you really don't need to know that super deep. But what you do need to learn how to do is tell a story.
Hmm.
And so I started reading some different books on telling the story. There's a great book out there, Demo Crimes, How to Avoid Them. And you can't have users falling asleep when you're doing the demo. You've lost them.
Yeah, Simon, can you put up a link to that book so people don't forget about it, including me, from Amazon? Demo Crimes, right?
Yeah, I think it's called Demo Crimes and what to do. And then there's another one that's just effing demo. And that's a really good one too. And it talks about, for one thing, discovery is huge. What resonates with the audience? You don't want to show a Microsoft customer JVMs because they're like, get out, and not that doesn't resonate with them, but it doesn't, you want to show them what they look like wearing your clothes. If they have SonarQube, show them SonarQube. If they have Jenkins, show them Jenkins, those kind of things. But anyway, the story is key, and put them in the moment. Hey, I'm a developer and I have these issues with my code quality. And now I have 1,000 null pointer exceptions. And, how do I get rid of it? Why is that important? So it's, that is super important. And I think it's the same thing, even if you're demoing for Agile, even if you're demoing, like, when you have to demo your software to show that it works, you got to tell a little story with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it more compelling. People check in because you've only got their attention. Even the people that are really interested, you may have their attention for a few minutes, sometimes a few seconds. And for people that are in software sales, you might have the CIO or the champion in the room for 5 minutes, and then they got to go, and then they're going to leave, and then you lost them.
Yeah.
So you got to hit it, or hit it right off the bat. Tell a good story, I think, is key.
Is that book called The Perfect Crime Demo? No?
I'll find it.
Simon's trying to look for it.
Yeah.
I usually don't promote books on the show, but that one sounds interesting. So
I'll find it for you.
The only books I like to promote are my own, so, But I do have an interesting question for you, kind of while you're looking that up. And so since you go into companies to try to sell your product, right? Do you create or maybe do different demos for like the managers and the VPs as opposed to the people that actually that actually going to end up using your product, right?
Absolutely. That's another really good important factor is persona based. Mm-hmm. If you're talking to a room of developers, they may not be worried about as much about the dashboarding and what that looks like. They're more worried about ticketing and how does this help me do my job is what they're really worried about. Is this going to be a good thing, a bad thing? And as a developer, you also go, is this going to be a pain in the ass? I mean, and that's how you have to frame it. But completely persona based is super important. You go in and give a tone deaf demo, so like a C-level suite, and you're talking about checking in code and development. They're like, well, whoa. Their eyes glaze over, and they're like, I'm out.
Yeah. Usually when people come in to demo stuff to me, or I watch demos, and it seems to be more of just a marketing thing, I check out really quick, because I know they're just showing me the fluffy stuff and not the real stuff that we're going to be using. And that's really where I think, things really sometimes fall down is, yeah, they might have this one area looks really flashy and cool to managers or VPs, but when the people actually get to use the product, it's completely different. And I know this is maybe it was slightly different from what you do, of course, but like every time I go into my doctor or dentist or something, and now they're all using computer program right in front of you, and if I can see the program itself, I always ask the person using the program, how do they like the program? And almost 99% say they don't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm going in my head, well, who's purchasing this, right? If the people using it don't like it, then who the hell is buying it? It's certain these people weren't involved in that process, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what we call champion building, and the folks that you work with, because you're not with any company, OverOps, AppDynamics, Cisco. I'm not going to be there with you the whole time, so I've got to get you to where you can demo it and show. Let me show you the magic that I showed. And I've had several demos too. This is another little point. I had several first meeting demos where. And this happened with Disney parks a couple times, where as we walk into to do the demo and the sales exec is doing the presentation, and 2 slides in, there's someone interrupts and goes, "Okay, stop. Bring the engineer up here. I want to see the demo. I want to see the real sizzle here with the steak, and not the architecture market slides." And
right.
Hey, you got to pivot and do that. So I think it's important to have that good story ready. And because you may be on stage a little bit longer than you think in those type of situations. But
yeah, that actually happened about 10 years ago. I was on a team where I worked we were, it seemed like all the different teams of the company were buying different third-party software. And so the company decided, well, this is getting kind of crazy and kind of expensive. And so let's just decide on one company to buy the third-party software for .NET. And so we had the three major companies come in and pitch to this board or team that we put together that I was on. And the second team that came in was Component One, who is now Grape City. And, I know one of the people who started that company, and they came in, they only sent people in suits, right? They only did the high level marketing crap demo. And as soon as I got back to my desk, I called the person who started the company going, "What are you thinking? Why would you send a bunch of people in suits that can't answer our questions to talk in front of a bunch of developers?" Right? I mean, come on. And basically they lost the contract because, and I told them they're going to lose the contract because of that. Right. And, it just, yeah, companies need to make sure they're sending the right people for the right audience, to me. Right?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm tenured, so I went back to the CA BMC days, and this is not acceptable for a demo,
right,
in a company. But now this is it. This is who we're. It's much more relatable, and I'm comfortable. You're comfortable. Everything's good.
Yeah, and it also reminds me of another story once when I was working. I think I wrote the first soon-to-be legal horse wagering app in America for this company located up a little bit north of me. And I remember the first trade show we had to go to was actually in Tucson, Arizona. And I remember this because I worked 40 straight days to get the code working so we could show people at the show, and to the point where I was literally sick as a dog by the time I got there. I was really, really sick, and I even had to work through Thanksgiving. My wife at the time certainly wasn't very pleased about that. And so I'm up, and when we get to the hotel in Tucson, I brought all of my computer gear in the van, and I was up in my room still coding stuff, in there, and I was sick, and I basically didn't leave my room because I was so sick. And my boss comes up and he goes, "Well, why don't you come down to the trade floor?" And I go, "No." I go, "Number one, I'm really sick. Number two, I look like this, right? I have ponytail and long hair, and I don't wear my hair in a ponytail anymore, but I had it in a ponytail, and I go, they don't want to see me. He goes, no, that's exactly who we want them to see, right? We want them to see there's like a real developer who's working hard,
That's
you
right.
know, to the bone, you know, for this product, right?
Yeah.
And that always stuck with me going, oh, okay, I get it. And now I know why you take technical people sometimes to shows and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So someone said...
the donation link or something.
Yeah. Simon, can you look at the donation link and make sure it's still working and then post it again? Because someone says there's a problem with it. Someone also said I have a unique style of presentation. Yes, I do. I've always tried to have a unique style, mainly not only because of my personality, but mainly a lot of things I do in my presentations, I do to make you pay attention, right? Because
Sure.
you know, most software you know, demos or you know, sessions I go to are boring as hell, and I try to make mine fun and exciting and light. I crack jokes through my whole session, you know, and yeah, I try really hard to make it memorable, right?
And I think what you alluded to before was authenticity. That's super important. I mean, that's the thing, and that is the key to people selling software too. Is if we can make a difference in your organization, give you a return on investment, awesome. Let's go forward. If we can't, let's leave as friends, and then maybe later on. You know, no, there's no pressure here. It doesn't. That is the key, I think, as well.
I agree. So any last questions? We only have a few minutes left. So you know, I'd like to talk about demos more, but we're running out of time. Because maybe we'll have you had to come back on and talk about that, because I think it's something that a lot of people don't talk about enough. And
yeah, I'd love to.
And I also like to have some speakers come on and just about speaking, you know, because I have my speaking tips, and I plan to either, you know, write articles about it or a book about it, at least the way I've developed my speaking, the way I speak in the last 27 years, you know. Now I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, I want to have some speakers come on the show, and because I did I did a survey. I'm not sure if I'm showing it this week or last week, on how many people in this job actually do present, you know, do talks in front of people publicly, and that's something I kind of want to talk more about, because I think it's an important skill for all of us to have, most of us to have at least. And so any help I can give developers, even though that's not coding per se, but you know,
and for developers and for engineering folks like myself, you know, going into it, that is something that usually you don't have. You know what I mean? It's not a quality you have, you know, strength.
You don't get taught that, right?
No. But again, authenticity is so important. And not being the best speaker, you know, doesn't mean that you can't be the best communicator,
right?
You know? And but I think one thing that stuck with me early when I took at college took some speech classes, is you have to understand when you get up there, and that feeling that you get when you see somebody speaking and struggling, you know, and you have empathy for them. Most people have empathy for them. You know, some people don't, but most people do, and they want you to do well. You got to remember that nobody up there wants you to fail.
No,
you know, everybody wants you to speak well, entertain, communicate. They love that, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
Totally agree. And I have somebody I could talk about right now that happened to, and that he forced himself, kind of like myself in the beginning, to speak in front of people. But this person has a real a speaking impediment. But he forced himself to do it for years, and now he's pretty good. It not only did it, you know, improve him as a speaker, but he actually talks better now, and you know, I'm really proud of him for sticking that out for as long as he did, you know, to be where he is today, right? Because he lives in Southern California. I've known him for a long time, and anyway, before you go, I have a couple last questions for you. One is, if you could pick one Disney character who's your favorite, you had to pick one, who would that be and why?
Oh, well, my comic book hero is Thor. So I like Thor would be, but that's not a true Disney character in my mind. Disney's something they kind of acquired. Oh, I don't know. I have to think about that.
Well, while you're thinking, I'll tell you mine. I kind of have to split mine unless I think about it some more. And one is, I think I have to split it based on my mood. So either it's Goofy, which it is most of the time, because he's kind of tall and lanky, and he's kind of goofy, like I am a lot. Or it's Grumpy. I'll just leave it at that.
There you go. I think I'd have to be Donald Duck.
Donald Duck.
I like to get the gag laughs.
That's funny. Yeah, before the show, you guys, we were talking about Disneyland, Disney and Disneyland, and so that's what we do before the show. If you're interested, we talk about stuff like that. So besides coding, what do you do for fun?
Well, we have a mini pig rescue. So
really.
Wow. We have 5 mini pigs. The plight of a mini pig is 90% of them don't stay in their original home.
Yeah.
People get them. They think, oh, it's going to be a little small 4-pound pig.
Then they get big.
And then they get big. Our biggest one's probably 150 pounds.
Yeah.
They're not industrial size. An industrial size pig is 1,600 pounds, or larger.
Yeah.
Those will just flat out get you, But these are little small ones. And so it's one of the things that we do. And I actually have a TikTok if anyone's interested. It's more for entertainment. But we also want to educate people on, if you adopt a mini pig, this is what you need to expect, down the road, so you don't rehome them, because they're actually very intelligent and they remember everything. And, so we've, my wife and I are borderline vegetarians. We're really close, just because of the plight of animals. So anyway.
Well, I most people don't know this because I don't share it a lot, but when I was a teenager, I actually lived on a ranch where we had dogs and cows and pigs and goats and rabbits, and I had my own horse, and one of my jobs in the afternoon was go corral the cows back into their pen and everything. But we had pigs too, and I actually helped my stepfather castrate a pig once. I didn't like that very much, but the funny story with pigs is one time, I think when I was feeding them, one got out, and we lived in the desert in Arizona, and one got out, and so I had to go chase it. And when I was chasing the damn thing, I fell hand first right into a cactus.
Oh,
right?
No.
Oh, my God. But maybe because my time on my ranch, I've always wanted to have a pig as a pet, because no one has one, at least where I live. And
right.
I thought that would be cool to have a pig as a pet. If you could train it to go to the bathroom,
Oh, yeah. They know to go to the bathroom outside. They're almost pre-trained.
And you could train them too to go inside too.
You can, yeah. And but one of the things we tell people is make sure you got some land or a yard. Because they love to root.
Yeah. I know.
We have a little pasture fryers, and they get rooting time every day. And that's what they love to do. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, if I had a house, which is someday, hopefully I'll get a house, because I live in a condo, because where I live by the beach, it's too freaking expensive to own a house here.
Oh yeah.
But someday I hope to get a house, and maybe I'll get a pig. I'll get a rescue pig.
There you go. That'd be great.
Well, and I know you want to plug DevOps, so we've already done that. So I want to say thanks for being on the show. You're always welcome back anytime you want to come talk about something. I had a great time getting to know you and talking about code quality and code demos, and maybe we'll get you back for a code demo sometime. I'll try to keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Do a full demonstration thing. Because you could talk an hour on that.
Yeah. Easily. So thanks a lot. I hope you hang out to the after show, and we'll see you back here sometime. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Well, that was fun. I had a great time talking to Daryl. I never know how it's going to go with somebody I don't know. So far everything has gone really well with people I don't know, and Daryl's one of those, and so was Chris last week, and so was his boss at the Code Quality Conference. So I didn't really talk to him very much. So anyway, great talking with him. I wish I had more questions, but maybe you guys will do that the next show. So I just got a couple more slides. So like every week, everybody wins a copy of CodeRush from DevExpress. CodeRush is the only refactoring tool I've ever used for Visual Studio. I love it. I use it every day that I'm coding, which is pretty much most days. And it helps me to not only learn things, but it helps me become a more productive developer. And kind of what we're talking about on the show today, it helps me deliver better quality software. So if you don't have a code refactoring tool, yes, Visual Studio has refactoring, but it's not near as good as CodeRush. Please check out a copy of CodeRush. It's a real copy. It's your very own dotNetDave copy of CodeRush, full copy of CodeRush. And if you download it and try it out, let me know how you like it. I'd like to hear back from you, and I'm sure one of the guys who runs the company would like to hear that too. So my latest Twitter poll, kind of talking about analyzing code and stuff we were talking about earlier, and I only got 10 votes, but I was kind of curious what people are using these days to analyze their code. And you can see we're kind of at a tie between Analyze and FXCop, which I'm assuming is mostly .NET Framework, and then Visual Studio and Editor Config, which is .NET Core and .NET 5 mostly. And speaking of the editor config, I really hope to find somebody on the Visual Studio team. I think this might have to wait until after the next release to come on the show and explain to us just exactly how that works, because I'm still having a tough time understanding how that whole thing works. And even though they have a better dialogue that allows you to manipulate the editor config, I think they're far from being done to make it easy for us to do code analytics. So that's one of my goals for a show, like I said, maybe later on this year. So here's my geek humor for today. The CFO asked the CEO, what happens if we invest in developers and they leave? The CEO says, what happens if we don't and they stay? Which kind of hits home for some of the contracts I've been working on lately. So there's a geek humor for the day. I also have geek humor on my website if you want to go check it out. I want to thank everybody for watching. This has been a great show as usual. We're taking next week off because I'm taking next week off because my son and his wife are coming to visit. I've been working for the last month cleaning up my place. I've got to start painting a bathroom today. If anybody lives in San Diego wants to help me out, please come over. I need help because I've been working on this and dealing with health issues. So I'm a little bit behind. But that's my son and his wife are coming out. My son actually hasn't been in San Diego, even though he was born here for 9 years. So he's really excited about coming out. But what he's really excited about is his wife, who is from Spain, has never been to San Diego. And so he's really, really super excited to show her all the, attractions and stuff to do here in San Diego, besides the beach, of course. He's been asking me, is this still open? Is this still open? Because of COVID, everything is kind of weirded out right now. So anyway, there's my son and the wife. They don't watch the show, so they don't know I'm showing this. But of course, I love my kids, and I can't wait to see my son and his wife when they come out next Saturday. They'll be here right around this time, exactly right now. I'll be at the airport. That's why I won't be doing the show. Please be safe and listen to your medical professionals about COVID-19 pandemic. We all, the whole world is basically still dealing with this crap. I can't believe we're still talking about it after 18 plus months, but we are, and we're not out of the woods yet. So please make sure to listen to your medical professionals. One thing everybody can do right now is go give blood. All of the blood banks in the world are in a dire shortage right now. And I think the San Diego America needs like 40,000 units a day. So that's a lot that's 40,000 donations a day. So, and they're really short right now. So please go give blood. Whether you've had COVID or not, it doesn't matter. And not only will it make you feel good about helping your fellow human, but for you guys out there, it's the weekend and you can't work for 24 hours. You can't do physical work for 24 hours. So it's a good way to get out of yard work. there's I don't have to worry about that because I don't live with anybody, but I know there's a lot of people who are married that maybe want to kind of just watch the game this Saturday, this weekend. So go donate blood and then you can do whatever you want. But be careful after drinking, after donating blood. That's another thing you have to worry about. And with that, please make sure you email suggestions, comments, anything you want, including new code rules. I did new code rules the last 2 weeks because I've been under the weather and busy getting ready for my son coming out. But please email your suggestions to rockintthecodeworld@c#corner.com. And with that, I'll see you in 2 weeks.